In looking at geometric properties starting on page 9, you'll notice that it says that this unit is going to deal with triangles and angles and the relationships that they share with one another. So starting off, we have the sum of the two shorter sides will be longer than the length of the longest side. So you take two smaller numbers on a triangle and add them together. Order doesn't matter as long as it's the two smaller numbers. And in order for it to be a triangle, you need their sum to be larger than the third side. So let's take a look at 3 examples. The first one says, can you draw a triangle with sides 2, 3, and 7? Well, we know that 2 plus 3 equals 5. So this means that because 5 is less than 7. So 2 plus 3 is 5. 5 is less than 7, which is the third side, and therefore it is not a triangle. Going into the second one, can you draw a triangle with sides of 5, 5, and 12? We know that 5 plus 5 equals 10. So when we are asked, can that make a triangle? The answer is no, because 10 is less than 12. 12 is the third side. So again, we pick the two smaller sides, 5 and 5, added them together to get 10, and we note, hey, 10 is less than 12, which is the third side, so therefore it cannot be a triangle. Now let's take a look at the second one. It says, can you draw a triangle with sides of 5, 3, and 8? Well, we take the two smaller sides, 5 and 3, and we add them together, and that gives us 8. So the question really now is 8 larger than 8? No, because 8 is not more than 8. Because even though it's equal, it needs to be more. It cannot be less and it cannot be equal. Going on to page 10, it says, in congruent triangles, the corresponding sides will be equal and the corresponding angles will also be equal. They will be congruent. We saw this in the unit when we were matching up similar figures and the matching sides. So we now have to look and say, hey, we got two triangles below, we're told they're congruent, meaning all the sides are the same, all the angles are the same, and we got to fill in the missing measures. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to go ahead and do on triangle 2, the easy part. Let's fill in the missing sides. So in looking at the sides, we know that this side corresponds with this side because of the way the triangles are laying. Therefore, if triangle 1 has 4.25 centimeters, that means triangle 2 is 4.25 centimeters. On triangle 2, we notice that we have this side, and we notice that it goes with this side. Therefore, since on triangle 1, the green side is 4.25 centimeters, on triangle 2, it's going to be 4.25 centimeters. Last is the base of the triangle, or the bottom side, which I'm going to do in red or pink. And we note that that side goes with that side. So if on triangle 1 it's 4.25 centimeters, triangle 2 is 4.25 centimeters. Now those are the easy ones because the sides are going to be exactly the same. In order to find the missing angles for triangle 1, which would also be the same for triangle 2 because they are congruent and everything's equal, we have to note that there's 180 degrees in a triangle. There are 3 angles that all have the same measure, so we divide them and we get 60 degrees. This means that all 3 are 60 degrees, for both triangle 1 and triangle 2. All right, now in order for us to move on with our triangle properties, we have to know a few things or remember a few things. The first is that the sum of the interior angles on any triangle, meaning 3 angles inside a triangle, must have a sum of 180 degrees. So they will always, no matter what kind of triangle they are, have a sum of 180 degrees. Now there's 2 ways to name your triangle. You can name them either by the sides or the angles. If you're going to name them by the sides, the first one's going to be an equilateral. And it's an equilateral triangle, so therefore that means that all 3 sides are going to be the same. The second one is isosceles. And I'm typing, so therefore mine fit nicely on the line. If yours don't fit nicely on the line, don't worry about it, just get the first words. Isosceles means that 2 sides are the same. The final one is scalene, and that means that none of the sides are the same. Now, we can also name a triangle by the angles. So the first one is going to be an acute triangle. And we say that it's a cute and acute triangle because it's so adorable since one of the angles is itty bitty teeny tiny. Now, the second way to name them is a right angle or a right triangle. And that means that there is one right angle. There is one angle that is exactly 90 degrees. The last one is an obtuse triangle, and that means that one of the angles measures more than 90 but less than 180. The last part is in an isosceles triangle, 2 of the angles will always be congruent. These are called your base angles. To give you a visual, and excuse my very fabulous drawing here, we know that that triangle is isosceles because I'm going to tell you that those 2, they're called legs, are congruent. The base angles are at the bottom. So notice it's not the one where the 2 congruent sides meet, it's the other 2, those will be congruent. So whether the triangle's facing that way or the triangle's facing this way, there will still be 2 base angles, meaning the 2 angles in which the 2 congruent sides in an isosceles triangle do not meet.